Greetings and welcome to this week's magical message. I pray that you all have gotten off to a really great start in your week, and hopefully it's not too cold. If it is pretty cold where you are, I hope you're staying warm. And regardless, I hope you all are in really good spirits. We have a really huge amount of potent and magical energy available this week. So I really hope you all are ready to really see what you're made of. Right? Just how free you're willing to be this week. So we start off with the Fool as our overview. And the Fool really plays by nobody's rules. He has no limitations. He has the ability to move in and outside of realms at his own calling. So there is this energy of really taking hold of, taking responsibility, claiming yourself, your life, your magic, your energy, even if you don't know what everything looks like. I feel like, we received a lot of clarity last week, but I think the one thing that we also received is a lesson in being willing to let certain things go, not feeling like you have to hold on to everything, or it has to be a particular kind of way. And if you didn't get that lesson, more than likely, you kind of came up against some bumps throughout your week last week. But the energy was really asking us to really just allow for the energies to flow, not trying to force anything or make anything out to be something that it may not, or it may not be, or it may not be yet, right? So as we move into this week, we see how that energy is building up with this magical energy that's now become really potent, right? And sometimes when we feel all that potent energy, we are ready to go. We want it to happen. We need it to, but this week still, it's like, no. You have to relax. You have to let it go. And, for any of my guys that are watching, you may not necessarily understand this in terms of first person. If you've accompanied a woman who's gone into labor, then, you may have seen some of this in action. But when you go into labor, and especially I can only speak from those who, or for myself, who has had natural births. So I'm not sure in terms of the pushing and all that outside of that. But when you're having a natural birth, you're not supposed to force it, right? You can't force the push. You have to flow with your body and the contractions that are coming, right? And so it's that same energy. It's like sometimes we get excited and we're ready to be over with this part of the process, this birthing process, right? And we want to make it happen now, right? And sometimes, just like in labor, you can end up kind of messing yourself up a little bit in trying to do that. And this week is really asking us to just go with the flow. Just go with the flow and allow these energies to show you what they're really bringing forward. My daughter's yelling in the background. Excuse me, and excuse her. But so this week brings a lot of magic, and you're going to have to really be willing to step outside of what you may have been comfortable with, right? Allow yourself to move in a different way. I feel like there are going to be some things that you're doing differently that you may have planned to work out in a different way. There's a lot of unexpected energy here. So expect to have outcomes and meet goals that you may not have expected to meet in the time frame that they're happening in, or in the ways that they're happening. And then to other people who are witnessing you experience these wins, they're not going to really understand exactly how it all came to be as quickly as it did, in the ways that it did, or even what happened, period, right? Like they, and so you may see some of that shock, some of that, different kind of energy as you come into these manifestations more. So now with the beginning of the week, we have the Maker 10, and the Maker 10 talks about wealth. It talks about being and having abundance and being showered with all of this and having really mastered so many of these levels. He's getting ready to move into that kingship, right? He's being crowned. And so you're moving to this new space. And when you're moving into a new space, sometimes we think about, oh, I'm so excited because of all the things that are happening. But there also is a moment or some moments where you take in that moment, right? If you're really, really, really being present in that moment, there is a time where you really kind of like, almost like if time were to stop and you're sitting there and you're just taking in the moment of everything that's taking place. And you realize how much you have of value, how much you're grateful for, how much love you have around you, how much support you have around you. And maybe it's not from any other places that you may have previously been looking or have been valuing in the same way. But in this energy, you're recognizing parts of you that needed to be recognized to basically open up this portal, open up this doorway for you to step through into that next level, right? And you may feel as though, maybe you don't feel super busy. So maybe you feel like you need to do more. You may be feeling a little bit more tired. You may be feeling maybe even a little bit out of sorts as you kind of contemplate and you're looking at what's the value, what's important to you, what things you need to do for you, what things are going to lift you up. And you begin to look at those things and say, okay, what is it that I have around me? What are these things and what benefit do they bring to me, to my life, and then to the lives that I love and that matter the most to me? Okay. So there's a lot of reflection this week. There is a lot of taking in and being in the moment to really be in a space of gratitude. And I mean, the shadow of that is that you may feel really restless. You may feel really unhinged, or you may be giving into fear, a little stress, a little worry, or just irritation in terms of how things are happening. You may be trying to force something to happen and it's creating roadblocks. Even if they don't seem related, it's just the energies in your day as you move along this week may start to feel like you're kind of just bumping up against something, right? So during the beginning of the week, again, make sure that you're flowing and just being in that moment and taking in what is of true value right here. Okay. Now, as we move into the middle of the week, we have the Moon card and we have the Hermit. So again, that Moon card talks about that opening, that communication, that transformation, and that connection, right? And at the same time, being willing to go inward and accepting the fact that change and shifting is coming. And this isn't something that can be stopped. This isn't something that is all of a sudden just going to die down, right? These energies have been built up. This is something that you've been working for and working towards for a really long time. And so as you move into the middle of this week, expect yourself to, even if you find yourself being more inward, it's not necessarily, unless of course it's more on the shadow side, and you're coming up against all these roadblocks. And so you may feel a little bit of like a depression. You may feel a little weighed down. You may feel a little overwhelmed, maybe a little isolated or alone. But if you're on the light side, if you're taking these energies and really looking at them for the beauty and the magic that they hold, what you're going to find is that even in your silence and in your quietness, you feel so connected. You feel so focused. You feel as though, even if you don't have all of the pieces, you know what it's supposed to feel like, what it's supposed to be like, because of this connection, this communication that you're having really with yourself, right? And with the universe, with life that's showing you and telling you what experiences, what points of focus are really going to put you in alignment with your highest good. And it takes guts to do that, because a lot of times we can be so sucked into what others want from us, what we want them to see, what we want them to experience, instead of really focusing in on what's important for us. And so this week you're going to naturally move into it, as long as you're not fighting that energy, and you're going to find that in that quiet space, you find some of the greatest peace and inspiration that you've, and I should say, peace and inspiration that you've really been looking for. Maybe you thought that you had experienced, but you're realizing that you experienced it on a particular level. And so everything that you're experiencing this week is elevated once again because you've put in the work to build this energy up. As we move into the end of the week, we have Dancer 6 and we have Dreamer 10. And Dancer 6 talks about these things. It's a 6, so it is that give and take. It can be communication, but the Dancer is around the emotions. It's around the feelings, around that connection. And so you're in this space where now that give and take, that thing is joyful. It is elevated. It is a high vibrational frequency. And you pair that with the half moon card where there is this balance. And we have been working towards this balance. If you remember last week and even the week prior to, we talked about needing and having this balance, working for this balance that brought in the manifestations that we've really been working so hard for. And so as we get into the the end of the week, you start to see even more so how solid that balance is that you've created. Your manifestations are coming in and you start to feel solid in your life and in yourself and in your movement in ways that you've never felt before. There is a life and a certainty that you have within yourself that allows you to move beyond previous limitations. Things that you may not have been able to accomplish, you now have the ability to accomplish. And sometimes it'll be like, well, what did you do differently? You know, who'd you talk to? Where'd you go? Like, what happened? How did you do this? And then all of a sudden now you're here, right? It may not make sense. Trust the process. The thing about the Fool is that he also has this, getting to that overall energy moving throughout the week. When you're looking at that Fool card, he has this energy of like a child in a certain way, because a child, they just dream, they just imagine. There is no limitations. Of course, there's a purple polka dotted with zebra striped nose elephant sitting in the room. like of course that's there. And there's no doubt about it in their mind. There is no limitation. And so it also calls for you to gather up all of yourself. And so, some of the things that you may need to work on if you're moving through this week and coming up against some of those things, check in with your child self, that inner child self, right? Check in with your heart. Where is your heart? How is it feeling? And why is it feeling that way, right? And try to focus it not so much on what it is that someone else or some outside thing has done, but more so, how are you digesting what's taking place? How did this particular thing make you feel? What's happening with you internally, right? And that will help you to begin to bridge together that thing with the value, looking at the beginning of the week and how we assess what is truly of value to us, right? And then you also will have opportunity to speak and to share or to vocalize or write down, but somehow express what it is that's happening on the inside. And it feels like this is more in a private setting. It may not necessarily be to the world, though it could be. This could be, maybe you're sharing some things on social media, or maybe you are talking to a group of people. But in this energy, you are really allowing yourself to transform what it is that you have in front of you by looking at yourself and looking at the values that you're bringing or that you've brought forward with you, right? That you already have around you. I think sometimes we can overthink what it is that we're doing because we think it's something else outside of us that we need. We never have enough. Or we feel like we're not enough. Right? And so we're always looking for something to enhance ourselves so that we're better, so that we'll be ready. And what Spirit is telling you is that you are ready. You are ready. The blockages that are there are only there because of you. And not because you're some horrible person that just deserves to be punished, but because there's something about yourself that you're believing that's not true. Even if it's simply you believing that you have to do something or work in this particular way, that you're not actually required to work, or ways that you don't have to move in order for you to reach your goal. Spirit may be asking you to trust your gut a little bit more. You know what this is. You know what you're looking at. You know what you're feeling. Why don't you move on that? Why don't you trust that? Right? These are the kind of questions that you want to ask yourself as you're moving through this week, because it's going to help you to move through it more smoothly. And it's also going to help the firmness, that solidity in the foundation of balance that you're creating, because now you are not acting as your own worst enemy. You're not shooting yourself in the foot trying to create these beautiful, wonderful things, while at the same time not truly having that grounded understanding, belief, and foundation of, I am enough. I am doing enough. And sometimes, most times, I create the most beautiful things and the best things for myself and my loved ones when I'm not trying to make it happen. I'm simply allowing things to move as they need to. And trusting yourself. You didn't make all of these decisions and end up in this place because you're just a screw up. If it's someplace that doesn't feel comfortable. You know what I mean? You're not in this place because you just can't get it right. You're in this place because it's something for you to look at that you haven't seen the way that you need to, even if you have a piece of it. And this week offers the magic to be able to do that. So make sure that you're being willing to be brave and ask yourself the questions in ways that you haven't been willing to ask, because what you need is right there in front of you. Literally is right there. Everything you need is right there in front of you. So I hope that this reading resonated. I hope it really inspires you to really do the things that you're called to do. Follow your gut, follow your instinct, and just see where it takes you. Trust yourself. There's some beautiful, magical, unexpected, miraculous kind of things that are available and wanting to come into your life this week. So move with peace and with ease, and knowing that you are good, that you're good. I was going to say you're going to be good, but you're already good. Trust this process, okay? So if you all like the reading and you want to check out some more readings as we move forward, make sure that you like and subscribe. If you want to leave a comment or you want to send a message privately, you can reach me at my email. That's going to be in the description below. And if you want to book a reading, send me an email. Okay. I believe my number will be down in the description as well. So you can shoot me a text as well if you want to, but either or, email or text will work. I pray you all have a wonderful rest of your week. I'm going to get back to my little ones. They have been hollering and running around. But anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful week, and we'll talk again soon. Bye.